everybody, welcome back to my channel and back to another chat with Sarah. We're talking about Gen Z and dating in 2026 because yeah, it's not exactly a fun thing to have to deal with. And I could go on for probably an hour about this because there are multiple things that are affecting Gen Z and their ability to date in 2026. I've written down a few things that I think kind of encompass everything. The first thing is parental trauma. You have one of three scenarios as a Gen Z, right? The first is your parents are happily married. They still like each other. And you would never ever expect them ever to get a divorce, right? Scenario number two is they're married, but they're miserable. They live separate lives. They are roommates, basically, instead of a married couple. And they're too old to get divorced. And then the third scenario is divorced parents. So Gen Z has kind of watched all these scenarios of their parents happen. And actually, I believe our generation, I have to check this statistic, but our generation comes from the largest number of divorced couples like ever. And I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense, right? Totally makes sense. So there's that. Then you have the parental trauma part of the equation, right? Then you have Gen Z's intolerance for certain things. There's a revival of faith in Gen Z. Gen Z is more involved in churches. They're more involved in Christianity, and it's probably more so than previous generations. And as a result of that, Gen Z has less tolerance for just mindless relationships, mindless dating. And that's, a good thing, I guess. But what it comes down to is this. Some of the Gen Zs, they operate at a high level. They're super ambitious. They, want to build a life for themselves and have goals that we're trying to meet, right? We're not willing to put up with crap. Like, we're not willing to put up with relationships that go nowhere or conversations that go nowhere. I'll insert this video from TikTok that I found that really just describes exactly the attitude and the feelings that many Gen Zs, especially female Gen Zs, probably have.
Any woman paying over $3,000 a month in bills by herself isn't interested in a man texting, "What are you doing?" Okay, respectfully, she's been up since 7. All right, she's managed problems. She's moved money around. What are you doing is not a conversation. It's an inconvenience. Okay, she sighed when she saw that because you made her open her phone and read that when she was busy doing things. Okay, if you don't have a plan, a point, or a full sentence, don't check in. She's not bored. Okay, she's tired in a very accomplished way. You're texting, "What are you doing?" after she paid rent, utilities, insurance, and groceries is insane behavior. Okay, you need to give context. You need to show intention. She's not waiting around for entertainment. Right? If you want her attention, bring clarity, bring effort, bring infrastructure. Okay, bring something that shows what adulthood costs. Okay, because a woman handling everything on her own is not impressed by minimal energy. If all you have to say is, "What are you doing?" keep it. Okay, she's busy being stable.
Gen Z is not willing to put up with low effort relationships. We're dating for marriage. We're not dating just to date, period. Finally, the last thing, which is more of like a broad bubble, and that is society as a whole. There's a question of what's coming. Life as we know it is kind of changing. We don't know what kind of economic system we'll be living under in 10 years, especially with the World Economic Forum and this own nothing and be happy. And we're a nation of renters, and everything we're becoming a society of renters where you can't buy anything anymore. You have to have a subscription for this and a subscription for that. You have What's next? You're going to have a subscription to be able to breathe oxygen? Oh, don't want to give anybody any ideas here, but like seriously, it's insane. It has progressively gotten worse over the years, but I don't know if anyone has seen this ad by Palantir, and I'm not going to show the whole ad for sake of copyright because I don't want to be zucked, as they say, but basically it shows a world where it's like this idea of social credit scores, and you don't have enough points this month, so you don't get to eat red meat. Eat some mealworms. I can promise you this, if anybody tries to take away my red meat, we're going to have a problem. Because I will live on an island and talk to a volleyball before I eat mealworms. And Bill Gates is developing fake meat. I'm like, I'm not eating fake meat. I'm not going to do that. No. Just no. I refuse to accept it. I refuse to accept that. I will buy my meat from a local butcher if I have to, if they stop selling it in grocery stores. We want more out of relationships. We don't want to live the life our parents lived. My parents had kids much later in life. My dad was already making good money. I think he was in his late 50s when I was born. By that point, he wasn't worried about things that so many parents worry about now. Gen Z is just not willing to settle. We're not willing to settle. We don't want less. We want more out of relationships. We want more out of life than maybe even what our parents wished for. You also have this element of 2020, all the things, dare I say, the word on the internet, but on YouTube, because I might get zucked, but that was one of the greatest wealth transfers of time. The cost of everything has just skyrocketed. Now things have slowly but surely, come back down in price. Like I've seen the price of milk drop. I've seen the price of eggs drop. I've seen, the cost of gas slowly come down, but I don't think we will ever see gas below $2 ever again. Now, I could be wrong. I would love to eat my words. I would love to. But I'm literally the cheapest gas right now is through BJ's, which is wholesale, by the way. So you already have to pay a membership fee to get the cheap gas. So it's really not really cheap. But anyway, I just don't see it happening to where we will ever see gas under $2 again. I really don't see that happening. But that's just one example, right? Buying a home used to be attainable. It's not anymore. The goal is no longer a home. The goal is a condo in a gated community, maybe with an HOA, but maybe not, This has been a rant of ballistic proportions because we've covered more than just dating. We've covered a lot of things. But I just don't even, I have no words. I have no words, guys. I have no words for dating in 2026 as a Gen Z. I'm not going to say that I'm giving up, but my gosh, it is not easy. So that has been my very long-winded rant that basically diverged into different topics. But here we are. The reason why Gen Z won't date, or Gen Z doesn't want to date.